We're going to do things a little bit different today and do a what-if video. Something I always wondered is, what would have happened if Angel Reese stayed at Maryland? Seeing how good Maryland was this year after losing her, it makes me wonder what they could have done if she stayed on the team. We will look at how Angel Reese staying would have impacted Maryland, along with the rest of the college basketball landscape. Maryland are the Buffalo Bills of college basketball. They always have a team you feel like can win it all. But for some reason, they just can't get over the hump. Despite losing Angel Reese, Maryland performed very well this season. They went 28-7 despite playing a strong schedule. They beat Notre Dame on their home floor, they beat UConn, and they beat many strong conference opponents. Quietly as it's kept, I think if Angel Reese stayed, Maryland has a legitimate super team. I would argue Diamond Miller and Angel Reese were top 5 level players in the country last year. Now the obvious question then becomes, did Angel Reese's game elevate because she transferred to LSU, or would it have happened anyway? Kim Mulkey is definitely a better coach than Brenda, so it's not unfair to say Angel wouldn't have been as great as she was. But even if you want to argue that Angel Reese wouldn't have had the big leap she had, she averaged 18 points and 10 rebounds on 50% shooting her sophomore year. So let's just say that marginally increases to only 20 points and 12 rebounds. That's still at worst a top 10 player in the country. Diamond Miller, I would argue, was one of the more underrated players last year. Obviously, the WNBA executives knew that, because she was drafted at number 2 and is doing great. ESPN completely disrespected her by saying she wasn't going to be a top 20 player last year, something they had to change when it came down to tournament time. Diamond averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals on 48% from the field. She has the Jimmy Butler effect. She takes a backseat against bad teams, but takes over when it matters most. On top of this, she is an elite on-ball defender. She's even gotten the best of Caitlin a few times. I don't think her performance would change much if Angel Reese stayed. Her assists would probably go from 3 assists to something like 5 or 6 per game. I think her scoring would stay around the same. Diamond and Angel in 2023 would have been the best duo in the league. On top of being talented, they hide each other's weaknesses well. Angel's lack of perimeter shooting is made up by Diamond's outside ability. Diamond's inconsistent efficiency is covered up by Angel's rebounding. Acquiring Abby Myers from the transfer portal was a lifesaver for Maryland. She is a deadly shooter. She is automatic in catch-and-shoot situations and is good off the dribble. Cheyenne Sellers is a great two-way player. She is a baby Olivia Miles, which is a great thing to be. She can do everything from play defense, score, rebound, and assist. With Diamond Miller, Angel Reese, Abby Myers, and Sellers, you would have a team of 2 AP All-Americans and 4 players that would be on the All-Big Ten team. Their bench isn't too shabby either. This version of Maryland is certain to be the most annoying. The team is great defensively, and Angel Reese and Diamond Miller are both top 5 in free throw attempts. So how far would this team go? Maryland lost to Iowa in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. If Angel is there, I think there's no way Maryland loses. Caitlin has never beaten a team with Angel Reese on it. Caitlin has been held to under 25 points and under 40% from the field 4 out of the 6 times she's played Maryland. Angel Reese eats Monica Sonato like a plate of barbecue. This year, Iowa and Maryland played 3 times. Iowa beat them by double digits in the first meeting. Maryland embarrasses Iowa by 30 the second time. In the conference tournament, Iowa only beats them by 5. Keep in mind, Maryland was practically playing with 0 post players. So if Angel is there, I think it's more than fair to say they beat Iowa. In the championship, they would have to play Ohio State. Maryland beat Ohio State both times they met, and they have no one to guard Angel Reese. I think Maryland takes this one, meaning Angel Reese would have taken home a conference tournament trophy this year. Now, what people really care about, the national tournament. They made the Elite 8 without Angel, so we can assume at worst, that's where they would have placed. Let's say the region stays the same. Do they get past South Carolina? The problem is, I don't know how much Angel Reese really helps Maryland here. She won't be able to utilize her rebounding ability, and she will have serious problems scoring. If anything would change, it's that maybe the refs would give Maryland some more favorable calls. Diamond Miller and Abby Myers were destroying South Carolina, but the refs call very suspicious fouls on them. South Carolina goes on a big run after that, but even with more balanced reffing, I'm not sold Maryland wins this game. The rebounding disparity is most likely too much to overcome. In other words, Angel Reese staying wouldn't change the end result for Maryland if they stay in the Greenville 1 region. Angel would still be popular, but without the massive boost from the Final Four and championship, it would take her much longer to get at the level she's at now. However, I think if Maryland got assigned to another region, things get a lot more interesting. This is the most realistic outcome because Maryland would have a better record, meaning they wouldn't be put in South Carolina's region. For this hypothetical, let's assume they switch places with UConn, another number 2 seed. The path to a national championship becomes significantly easier. I don't see Maryland getting upset by Ohio State the way UConn did. This means they would play Virginia Tech in the Elite 8. No disrespect to VT, but I think Maryland would absolutely body them. If Alexis Morris was able to clamp Georgia A more, imagine what Cheyenne Sellers and Diamond Miller would do to her. We have already seen Angel Reese tear Kitley up. And who is guarding Diamond Miller? The guards are too small, and Kitley is not physical enough to prevent her from tearing up the inside. There was a possession where Alexis drives into 3 defenders, loses the ball, and does a scoop layup over multiple defenders. If they let Alexis do this, then that means Diamond is feasting. I'm talking about a 30-10 game on 50% shooting. It's hard to say who exactly they would play in the Final Four, but let's go with Utah considering they almost beat the champions. This would be a very interesting matchup because they are very similar. It would be a tough battle, but I think Maryland takes it since they have more depth than Utah. That would mean they play Iowa in the national championship. As discussed earlier in this video, Angel Reese owns real estate in Iowa. I think Maryland takes the victory here, making them the national champions. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Angel Reese would taunt Caitlin Clark just like she did at LSU. This means we would still get all the viral moments for better and worse. I think Diamond Miller would win the Most Outstanding Tournament Player award. This would mean that if Angel Reese stayed at Maryland, she most likely would still be a national champion. The only thing that would change is that she wouldn't get the Most Outstanding Player award. I still think Caitlin Clark wins Player of the Year, but Angel would still be a first-team All-American. Now we've got the success and awards out of the way. What about NIL? I think people erroneously give LSU the credit for making Angel Reese as successful as she was. Don't get it twisted. LSU did not grow Angel Reese. Angel Reese grew LSU women's basketball. There's a lot of revisionist history going on. The last time people cared about LSU women basketball before Angel and Flau'jae hit the scene was when Bush was still president. Angel Reese had a big following even before she went to LSU. She would have got the same level of exposure at Maryland if she won the national championship. Her tournament success, combined with people siding with her after people demonized her after the taunt, are the primary factors that contributed to her huge following today. Angel Reese's following would still be in the millions. I think the person that would have benefited the most brand-wise from Angel staying is Diamond Miller. No matter where Angel is, she always has a go-to partner for her TikToks. Diamond was slept on, but having millions of people watching her during the Final Four and championship would have changed that, especially if they saw what she would have done to Caitlin. If I had to guess, her following would be in the hundreds of thousands instead of under 25,000. Last but not least, what the heck happens during the offseason? I don't care what anyone says, there's no way Hailey Van Lith goes to LSU if they don't win that championship. Anissa Morrow too. At least there's an off chance Diamond Miller and Abby Myers stay to run it back. If Diamond's brand massively grew like it would in this hypothetical, I could see it happening. I know Hailey Van Lith considered Stanford, so I think she goes there instead. Maybe Anissa joins Maryland. LSU would still have Flau'jae in the #1 recruiting class, so I think eventually they would develop into a tournament contending team. It would just take a little bit longer. So to sum it up, Angel Reese would still be a winner even if she didn't transfer to LSU. She would still be an NIL star, and Maryland would most likely be celebrating their second national championship. But what do you think would have happened if Angel stayed at Maryland? Do you agree with this video, or do you believe things would have went very differently? Either way, I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.